Ambassador Crick stood at the observation deck of the Federation station and watched the small blue planet spin slowly in the void. Earth. The humans called it Earth, such a simple name for a world that had caused so much confusion among the Galactic Federation scientists. Crix was a Velian, a species that resembled tall, thin creatures with pale blue skin and 4 arms. The Velians had been part of the Federation for over 10,000 years. They considered themselves wise and patient. They had seen many species join the great community of stars, but humans were different. Humans worried them. "The human delegation will arrive in 1 standard hour," said his assistant, a young Velian named Torix. "The council is already gathering." Crix made a low sound in his throat. It was the Velian way of showing concern. "Have you read the reports from the survey teams?" "I have," Torix said. His voice was quiet. "I did not believe them at first. I thought there must be some error in the data." "There is no error." Crix turned away from the window. "I have checked the data myself 3 times. The results are the same each time." The Federation had first detected human radio signals about 200 of their years ago. At that time, humans had been fighting a great war among themselves. The Federation had decided to wait. Let them develop. Let them learn peace. Then perhaps they could be approached. But the waiting had led to watching, and the watching had led to study, and the study had led to questions that no one in the Federation could answer. The first question was simple enough. Why were humans the only intelligent species on their planet? On most worlds that developed intelligent life, there were usually 2 or 3 species that reached higher thinking, sometimes more. On the Velian homeworld, there had been 4 intelligent species. They had learned to live together over millions of years. On the Korthian worlds, there had been 6. The Drellics had shared their planet with 2 other thinking kinds. But Earth had only humans, just 1 species that had developed technology and civilization. The others had vanished long ago. The second question was more troubling. Why did Earth creatures seem designed for violence? The Federation scientists had cataloged over 8 million species on Earth. Most of them had weapons built into their bodies: teeth for tearing, claws for cutting, horns for piercing, poison for killing. Even the plants on Earth had thorns and toxins. "It is as if the entire planet is at war with itself," one scientist had written in her report. "Every creature fights every other creature. They fight for food. They fight for territory. They fight for mates. They fight for no reason at all. Violence is woven into the very fabric of their world." The third question was the most disturbing of all. Why were humans so good at killing? The Federation had studied many predator species across the galaxy. Most predators were specialists. They hunted one type of prey. They used one method of attack. They lived in one type of environment. Humans were different. Humans could hunt anything. They could hunt in forests and deserts and mountains and oceans. They could hunt in the day and in the night. They could hunt alone or in groups. They could hunt with their hands or with tools or with traps or with poison. And they did not just hunt animals. They hunted each other. The historical records that the Federation had gathered from Earth were filled with war. Humans had been fighting since before they could write. They had developed hundreds of different ways to kill. They had invented weapons that could destroy entire cities. They had even split the atom, the basic building block of matter, and turned it into a bomb. "They are death world creatures," the lead scientist had concluded. "Their planet is a death world. Everything there evolved to kill or be killed, and humans are the apex predators. They are the best killers on a planet of killers." Crix walked through the station's corridors toward the council chamber. Other Federation members moved aside as he passed. He was a senior ambassador. He had been dealing with new species for 300 years, but he had never felt this nervous about a first contact before. The council chamber was a large round room with seats arranged in a circle. Representatives from dozens of species were already present. Crick saw Corthians with their rocky skin and multiple eyes. He saw Drellics floating in their water tanks. He saw Fenari with their long necks and delicate wings. He saw Bruthan, massive and covered in thick fur. At the center of the circle was a raised platform. That was where the human delegation would stand. Council leader Mythix called the meeting to order. Mythix was a Fenari, small and fragile-looking but sharp of mind. She had led the council for 50 years. "We are gathered to discuss the human question," Mythix said. Her voice was soft but carried to every corner of the room. "As you know, the humans have developed faster-than-light travel. They have begun to explore beyond their home system. First contact is no longer a choice. It is a necessity." A Corthian named Brock stood up. His voice rumbled like stones grinding together. "I say we classify Earth as a quarantine world. The humans are too dangerous. We have seen what they do to each other. Imagine what they would do to us." "We cannot simply ignore them," said a Drellix named Shallow Water. The translation device turned her bubbling speech into words. "They are already traveling to other stars. If we do not approach them peacefully, they may approach us with suspicion, or worse." "Worse is exactly what I fear," Brock said. "Have you seen the data on their weapons development? In just a few hundred years, they went from swords to nuclear bombs. A few hundred years. It took the Corthians 10,000 years to develop such power, and we had the wisdom not to use it against ourselves." Mythix raised one thin arm for silence. "The debate on what to do about humans has been ongoing for many years, but the decision has been made. We will make contact. We will offer them membership in the Federation. The only question now is how." Crick stood, all eyes turned to him. "I have studied humans more than anyone else in this room," he said. "I have watched their world for 60 years. I have learned their languages and their history and their culture, and I believe I understand something that most of you do not." "Then enlighten us, Ambassador," Mythix said. "The humans are dangerous. This is true, but their danger comes from a place you do not expect. They are not dangerous because they are cruel or evil. They are dangerous because they care." A murmur ran through the council chamber. "I do not understand," Brock said. "How does caring make them dangerous?" "Because they will fight for what they care about," Crick said. "They will fight and they will die and they will kill. Not for conquest, not for power, but for love, for family, for friends, for ideas, for strangers they have never met." He looked around the chamber at the confused faces. "The humans have a saying. They say that the most dangerous animal in all their world is not the lion or the shark or the snake. It is a mother protecting her children, and humans are all mothers in their way. They protect what they love with everything they have." The chamber was silent. "That is why we must approach them carefully," Crix continued. "We must show them that we are not a threat to what they love. If we do that, they could be the greatest allies the Federation has ever known. But if we threaten what they love—" He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The transport carrying the human delegation had arrived. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Crick stood at the front of the welcoming committee, his 4 arms folded in the Velian gesture of peaceful greeting. Behind him were representatives from 12 different Federation species, each one chosen for their diplomatic experience. The humans emerged from the airlock one by one. Crix had seen images of humans before. He had watched thousands of hours of their video broadcasts, but seeing them in person was different. They were smaller than he had expected. Most of them barely reached his chest. Their bodies were soft and vulnerable, covered only in thin cloth. They had just 2 arms and 2 legs and 2 small eyes. They looked weak, they looked harmless. Crix knew that appearance was a lie. The leader of the human delegation stepped forward. She was a female, older but still strong. Her hair was gray and cut short. Her eyes were dark and sharp. She wore a uniform of some kind, blue and decorated with small metal symbols. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Fleet," she said. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I thank you for this invitation. Crix was surprised by her voice. It was confident but not aggressive, warm but not weak. He had expected humans to be loud and threatening. This woman was neither. I am Ambassador Crix of the Velian Republic, he said. On behalf of the Galactic Federation, I welcome you. Please follow me to the council chamber. The council is eager to meet you. As they walked through the station's corridors, Crix studied the humans. There were 6 of them in total. 4 were soldiers, he could tell. They moved differently than the others. Their eyes never stopped scanning for danger. Their hands stayed close to the weapons at their sides. The Federation had insisted that the humans be allowed to bring weapons. It was a gesture of trust, or perhaps of caution. Armed humans might feel safer and act less rashly. Your station is impressive, Admiral Chen said. How long did it take to build? This station has been here for over 3,000 years, Crix said. It has been expanded and modified many times. 3,000 years, Chen shook her head. Humans have only been building structures for about 10,000 years, and most of those fell down. We're still learning. Your species learns quickly, Crix said, perhaps too quickly. Chen looked at him. Her dark eyes were unreadable. Is that a concern? It is an observation, Crix said carefully. The Federation has watched your world for some time. Your rate of technological advancement is unusual. Unusual how? Crix considered his words. He did not want to offend, but he also believed in honesty. Most species take thousands of years to move from basic tools to space travel. Humans did it in less than 10,000. Most species take thousands of years to develop weapons of mass destruction. Humans did it in less than 100. Chen was quiet for a moment. You're afraid of us. Yes, Crix admitted, we are. Good, Chen said. Crix stopped walking. Good. Fear means you're taking us seriously. That's better than being underestimated. When people underestimate humans, bad things tend to happen. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. To them, I mean, bad things tend to happen to them. They continued to the council chamber. The doors opened, and the human delegation entered. Crix watched the faces of the council members as they saw humans in person for the first time. He saw surprise at their small size. He saw curiosity at their strange, two-armed bodies. He saw fear hidden behind masks of diplomatic calm. Admiral Chen and her team walked to the central platform. She looked around at the assembled species without any sign of nervousness. Crix had seen new species tremble before the council. He had seen them stammer and struggle to speak. Chen stood straight and strong, as if she had done this 1,000 times. Thank you for receiving us, Chen said. I know that our species has caused some concern among your members. I hope that this meeting will be the start of a new relationship between humanity and the Federation. Council Leader Mythix spoke from her seat. We share that hope, Admiral, but first we have questions, many questions. I expected nothing less. Please ask. Mythix looked around at the council, then back at Chen. We have studied your world for many years. We have learned much about your history, and we must confess that much of what we have learned troubles us. Such as, Chen asked. Your wars, Mythix said. You have fought more wars in your short history than most species fight in 10 times as long. You have killed billions of your own kind. You have developed weapons capable of destroying your entire planet. Why? The chamber was silent. Every eye was on Chen. She took a deep breath. That's a complicated question with a complicated answer, but I'll try to give you a simple version. She paused, gathering her thoughts. Earth is not a gentle world. Our planet is full of things that want to kill us. Predators, diseases, natural disasters. The weather itself tries to kill us half the year. For most of our history, survival was not guaranteed. It was something we had to fight for every single day. Many worlds have predators, Brock the Corthian said. We do not make war on ourselves. How many predators? Chen asked. On your world, how many species actively hunted your ancestors? Brock thought, perhaps 3 or 4. They were driven to extinction long before we developed technology. On Earth there were hundreds, and we didn't drive them to extinction. Some of them sure, but most of them are still there, still hunting, still competing with us for food and space. Chen's voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. We didn't evolve in a garden. We evolved in a battlefield. Everything on our world is fighting for survival. Everything. That explains why you fight, Mythix said. It does not explain why you fight each other. Yes, it does, Chen said. When resources are scarce and predators are everywhere, you form groups, tribes, families. Those groups protect you, they help you survive. But there's only so much food, only so much water, only so much safe territory. So when another tribe threatens what's yours, you fight them. You have to. If you don't, you and everyone you love will die. She looked around the chamber. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying we're proud of it, but that's where it comes from. We fight because our world taught us to fight. We kill because our world taught us to kill. It's in our blood, in our bones, in our very nature. The council was silent. But here's the thing you need to understand, Chen continued. That same instinct that makes us fight also makes us protect. We don't just fight against things. We fight for things, for our families, for our friends, for people we've never met but who need our help. That fighting spirit, that willingness to die for what we love, it goes both ways. Crick stepped forward. This is what I tried to explain earlier. Human violence is not random or senseless. It is purposeful. They fight to protect what they care about. And what do you care about, Admiral? Mythix asked. Chen met her eyes. Everything. We care about everything. Give us a cause to believe in and we'll die for it. Give us someone to protect and we'll kill for them. That's who we are. That's what we are. She spread her hands. So yes, you're right to be afraid of us. We're the most dangerous species our planet ever produced. We're predators from a world of predators. But we're also the most loyal allies you could ever have. The most devoted friends. The most dedicated protectors. She smiled. You just have to decide which one you want us to be. The council called a recess after Admiral Chen's speech. Crix escorted the human delegation to a private room where they could rest and refresh themselves. Then he hurried to the council's private chamber, where the real discussion would take place. The chamber was in chaos when he arrived. Dozens of species were talking at once. Some were shouting. The fear that had been hidden during the formal meeting was now out in the open. They admitted it, Brock was saying, his rocky voice booming above the others. They admitted they are killers. We cannot allow such creatures into the Federation. They also said they would be loyal allies, Shallowwater countered. Did you not hear that part? The words of a predator, lies to lure us close before they strike. Crix pushed through the crowd to reach Mythix. The council leader was standing apart from the arguing groups, her delicate wings folded tight against her body. She looked tired. Ambassador, she said, what are your thoughts? I think we are making a mistake, Crix said. By inviting them here. No, by letting fear control our decision. He gestured at the arguing council members. Look at them. They are so afraid of what humans might do that they cannot see what humans actually are. And what are they, in your view? Crix thought carefully before answering. They are survivors. Their world tried to kill them and they survived. Their own nature tried to destroy them and they survived. They have faced every challenge their planet could throw at them and they have overcome. That is not something to fear. That is something to admire. Admire? Mythix looked at him with her large, dark eyes. You admire the species that invented nuclear weapons. I admire the species that invented them and then chose not to use them again. They had the power to destroy themselves completely and they didn't. That shows restraint. That shows wisdom. That shows growth. A Bruthan named Gromax pushed his way to them. He was huge, covered in thick brown fur with arms as thick as tree trunks. The Bruthen were one of the largest species in the Federation. "I heard your little speech in there," Gromix said, "about humans protecting what they love. Very pretty. But what happens when they decide we threaten something they love? What then?" "Then we make sure we do not threaten what they love," Crix said simply. "And if we do by accident, if we make some mistake, some misunderstanding, will they forgive us, or will they burn our worlds?" Crix had no answer for that. The council reconvened an hour later. The arguing had settled into an uneasy quiet. Everyone knew that a decision had to be made. Mythics called for a vote. "The question before us is simple. Do we offer humanity membership in the Galactic Federation? All in favor?" A few hands and limbs and tentacles rose, maybe a third of the council. All opposed. Another third. All abstaining. The final third. Mythics made a sound of frustration. "We are deadlocked. This serves no one." "Perhaps," Crix said, "we should ask the humans what they think." The council fell silent. "Ask them," Brock said. "Ask the predators how they would like to be handled." "Why not? They are intelligent beings. They have the right to speak for themselves. We have been talking about them all day, but we have barely spoken with them. Perhaps if we understood them better, the decision would be easier." Mythics considered this. "It is unorthodox, but it is not unreasonable. We will invite Admiral Chen to address the council again. She may speak and we may ask questions. But this time we will ask the questions we truly want answered, not the polite questions of formal diplomacy." Crix was sent to fetch the humans. He found them in the rest room, sitting quietly. The soldiers were standing guard near the door. Admiral Chen was sitting by a window, looking out at the stars. "Admiral," Crix said, "the council wishes to speak with you again." Chen stood. "Good questions or bad questions?" "Honest questions," Crix said. "Which may be worse?" Chen laughed. It was a strange sound, rough and warm at the same time. "Honest is good. I can work with honest." They walked back to the council chamber. Chen entered alone this time, leaving her soldiers outside. "Admiral Chen," Mythic said, "thank you for returning. We have more questions for you. These questions may seem rude or offensive. I ask for your patience and your honesty." "You'll have both," Chen said. "Very well," Mythics took a breath. "Admiral, do you believe that humans are dangerous?" "Yes," Chen said without hesitation. "We are extremely dangerous." "And you admit this freely?" "Of course. Pretending otherwise would be stupid and dishonest. Every human knows what we're capable of. We see it in our history. We see it in ourselves. The capacity for violence is part of who we are." "Then how can you ask us to trust you?" a Fenari asked. "How can you expect us to let you into our community when you admit that you are dangerous?" Chen was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you a story?" Mythics nodded. "When I was young, my family had a dog. Do you know what a dog is?" "A domesticated predator," Crix said. "Descended from wolves, pack hunters." "That's right, dogs are predators. They have sharp teeth and strong jaws and instincts that go back millions of years. They can kill. They do kill sometimes." Chen's voice softened. "But our dog was also the gentlest creature I ever knew. He would let my baby sister pull his ears and climb on his back. He would sleep at the foot of my bed every night, guarding me while I slept. Once, a stranger broke into our house. That gentle dog turned into something else entirely. He protected our family with everything he had." She looked around the chamber. "Humans are like that dog. We have teeth, we have claws, we have the instinct to hunt and kill. But we also have the instinct to protect, to love, to guard. We're not just predators, we're guardians." "How do we know which one you will be with us?" Mythics asked. "You don't," Chen said. "Not for certain, but I can tell you this. The Federation has watched our world for 200 years. In that time you've seen us at our worst, our wars, our weapons, our cruelty to each other, but you've also seen us at our best, our courage, our compassion, our willingness to sacrifice for others. She stepped closer to the council. I can't promise that we'll be perfect allies. Humans make mistakes. We get scared. We overreact. But I can promise that we will try. We will try to be better than our history. We will try to earn your trust. And if we fail, if we make mistakes, we will try to make things right. Her voice grew firm. That's who humans are. We fall down and we get back up. We make mistakes and we try again. We fail and we keep fighting. Not because we're perfect, but because we refuse to give up. The council was silent. You're afraid of what we might do, Chen said. I understand that, but consider this. If you reject us, if you treat us as enemies, then we will become enemies. Not because we want to, but because you will have given us no choice. But if you accept us, if you give us a chance, then we will be the best friends you've ever had. She spread her arms. The choice is yours. The vote was held 3 days later. In that time, the council members had been allowed to speak with the human delegation individually. Crix had watched these meetings with great interest. The Bruthan, Gromex, had challenged one of the human soldiers to a test of strength. The human, a small female, had lost badly. Gromex was 10 times her size and 100 times her strength, but she had refused to quit. She had kept trying, kept fighting, until Gromex himself had called an end to it. She has spirit, Gromex had said afterward. I respect that. The Drelix had asked Admiral Chen about human art and music. Chen had shown them recordings of human symphonies and paintings and poetry. The Drelix had been moved to tears, if that was even possible for beings who lived in water. Such beauty, Shallow Water had said. Such depth of feeling, I did not expect this from predators. The Corthians had asked about human science. A human scientist in the delegation had explained their theories about physics and biology and chemistry. The Corthians had been impressed by how much humans had figured out on their own. They are not just killers, a Corthian scientist had admitted. They are thinkers, creators, explorers like us. Even Brock had softened, though he tried to hide it. He had asked Chen about human families. She had told him about parents who worked themselves to death to feed their children, about siblings who donated organs to save each other, about strangers who adopted orphans from across the world. You protect your young, Brock had said, his rocky face unreadable. With our lives, Chen had replied. Now the council gathered for the final vote. Mythic stood at the center of the chamber, her thin wings catching the light. We have deliberated, we have questioned, we have considered, now we must decide. She looked around at the assembled species. Do we offer humanity membership in the Galactic Federation, all in favor? Hands rose, tentacles rose, wings rose far more than before, a clear majority. All opposed. A small number. Brack was among them, though he looked uncertain. All abstaining. Almost none. The motion passes, Mythics announced. Humanity is hereby offered membership in the Galactic Federation. A ripple of sound went through the chamber, relief, excitement, fear, hope. Crix was sent to deliver the news to Admiral Chen. He found her in the observation deck, looking out at Earth. The small blue planet glowed softly against the darkness. Admiral, Crix said, the Council has voted. Humanity has been offered membership in the Federation. Chen turned to face him. Her expression was controlled, but he could see the emotion beneath it. Relief, pride, and something else he couldn't identify. Thank you, Ambassador, she said. This means more than you know. I believe I do know, Crix said. Your species has been alone for a very long time. Now you have neighbors, family perhaps. It is a significant moment. Chen nodded. We always wondered if we were alone in the universe, if there was anyone else out there. Now we know. And now we have the chance to be part of something bigger than ourselves. You will face challenges, Crix warned. Not everyone in the Federation trusts you. Some are still afraid. There will be those who work against you, who try to prove that you should not have been admitted. We're used to that, Chen said. We've been proving ourselves since we first came down from the trees. One more challenge won't break us. Crick studied her for a long moment. May I ask you something, Admiral, honestly? Of course. Are you afraid of what might happen, of what your species might do? Chen was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. Every day, she admitted. I know what we're capable of. I've seen it. I've done it. There's a darkness in humans that never fully goes away. We just learn to control it, to direct it, to use it for good instead of evil. She turned back to the window. But I'm also hopeful, because I've seen what we're capable of when we work together, when we fight for something instead of against each other. We can build things, create things, achieve things that seem impossible, she smiled. We went to the moon on rockets that had less computing power than a children's toy. We cured diseases that had killed millions. We connected every person on our planet through machines that fit in our pockets. She looked at Crix. When humans decide to do something, we do it. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, we don't give up, we don't stop. We keep pushing until we succeed or we die trying. That is both inspiring and terrifying, Crix said. I know, Chen said. That's what makes us human. 1 year later, Crix stood on the surface of a dying world. The planet was called Vexen 4, and it had been a Federation colony for 300 years. Then the plague had come, a disease from somewhere unknown, killing everything it touched. The Federation had quarantined the world and given it up for lost. The humans had not. Crix watched as human ships descended through the planet's atmosphere, one after another. Hundreds of them, thousands, medical ships, supply ships, transport ships. They kept coming, an endless stream of metal and light. Ambassador Crix, a human voice called out. Crix turned to see Admiral Chen approaching. She was older now, her hair completely gray, but her eyes were still sharp. She wore a protective suit against the plague. Admiral Crix said, You should not be here, the danger. I know the danger, Chen said, but my people are here, I belong with them. Behind her, human doctors and nurses were setting up field hospitals. Human scientists were taking samples, analyzing the plague, working to find a cure. Human soldiers were carrying supplies to the survivors of the colony. No other Federation species had been willing to come to Vexen 4. The risk was too great, the chance of success too small. The humans had come anyway. Why? Crix asked. Why do you risk yourselves for people who are not your own? The Vexen are not humans, they have no connection to you. Why do you care if they live or die? Chen looked at him with something like surprise. Because they need help, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Because they're dying and we can do something about it. Because if we don't help them, who will? But the risk to your own people. My people volunteered, Chen said. Every single one of them. When we sent out the call for help, we had more volunteers than ships to carry them. We had to turn people away. She smiled. That's who we are, Ambassador. When someone is in trouble, we help. We don't ask about species or politics or risk. We just help. Crix shook his head in wonder. Your species continues to amaze me. Wait until you see us in action. For 3 months, the humans fought the plague on Vexen 4. They lost hundreds of their own to the disease, but they kept working. They kept trying. They refused to give up. On the 92nd day, a human scientist named Dr. James Park discovered the cure. The news spread across the Federation like wildfire. The humans had done the impossible. They had saved a world that everyone else had abandoned. Crix was present when the first doses of the cure were administered. He watched as Vexen colonists who had been hours from death opened their eyes and took their first healthy breaths in months. He saw them look at the humans who had saved them with wonder and gratitude. Thank you, a Vexen elder whispered to Chen. Thank you for not giving up on us. We never give up, Chen said. It's not in our nature. The council convened an emergency session to discuss the events on Vexen 4. The mood was very different from the session where humanity had first been introduced. They saved them, Shallowwater said, her voice filled with awe. They saved them all. At great cost to themselves, Mythics added. 312 human lives were lost to the plague. They knew the danger and they came anyway. Brock stood. The old Corthian looked uncomfortable but determined. I opposed humanity's admission to the Federation, he said. I was afraid of them. I thought they were too dangerous, too violent, too unpredictable. He paused. I was wrong. The chamber fell silent. The humans have shown us something on Vexen 4. They have shown us what it means to truly care, to truly fight for others. They did not save those people because it was safe or easy. They saved them because it was right. He bowed his rocky head. I am proud to call them allies. A murmur of agreement ran through the council. Mythic spoke. It seems that Ambassador Crix was right all along. Human violence is not random. It is purposeful. They fight to protect. They kill to save. And now they have proven that they will do so not just for their own kind, but for all of us. She looked at Crix. Ambassador, I believe you have something to say. Crix stepped forward. I have studied humans for my entire career. I have watched them, learned from them, tried to understand them, and I believe I finally do. He looked around the chamber. Humans evolved on a death world. Everything there was trying to kill them, so they became the best killers on the planet. They had no choice. It was kill or be killed. But somewhere along the way, they learned something else. They learned that the best way to survive was not to stand alone. It was to stand together. They formed families and tribes and nations. They learned to care for each other, to protect each other, to fight for each other. And that instinct, that drive to protect what they love, became as strong as their drive to survive. He pointed toward the window, toward the stars. Now they have joined the Federation. They have a new family now, a new tribe, and they will protect us the way they protect their own, with everything they have, with everything they are. He lowered his arm. The Federation has always wondered why Earth creatures evolved to be apex predators everywhere. Now we know. It was not just to kill. It was to protect, to survive, to fight for something greater than themselves. He smiled. We are lucky to have them. The Council voted to award humanity the highest honor the Federation could give, the Guardian Star. It had only been given twice in 10,000 years. Admiral Chen accepted the award on behalf of her species. She stood on the platform where she had first addressed the Council, her uniform decorated with the gleaming star. Thank you, she said, but we don't need awards. We don't need honors. We just need to be allowed to do what we do best. And what is that? Mythics asked. Chen smiled. It was the same smile she had given Crix in that first meeting all those years ago, warm but fierce, gentle but strong. Protect our family. The council chamber erupted in applause, and Crix, standing at the back of the room, felt something he had rarely felt in his 300 years of diplomatic service. Hope. The humans had come to the stars as strangers, feared and mistrusted by all, but they had not come as conquerors. They had come as protectors, as guardians, as family. And the Federation would never be the same again. The galaxy had learned something important that year. They had learned why Earth creatures evolved to be apex predators everywhere. It was not because they were cruel or evil or violent by nature. It was because they had learned, over millions of years of struggle and survival, that the only way to truly protect what you love is to be the most dangerous thing in the room. And now, with the humans watching over them, the Federation was safer than it had ever been. Because the most dangerous predators in the known universe had decided that the galaxy was worth protecting. And humans, once they decided something was worth protecting, never stopped fighting for it. Never,